I, 35 am, or rather was, engaged to Sarah, 32F. Wedding was supposed to be in 3 months. Venue booked, caterer deposit paid, the whole 9 yards. Last night, she sat me down, looking all kinds of nervous. Said, "Mark, I have something I need to tell you before we marry." My heart didn't exactly sink. It sort of settled. I've been feeling a subtle shift for months. Little things. Her phone always on silent, face down. Vague overtime hours. That kind of stuff. I just looked at her and said, "I'm listening, Sarah." She launched into this teary story about having doubts, feeling overwhelmed, and then, the kicker, she'd made a mistake and kissed someone else. Just a stupid one-time thing, she swore. Said it meant nothing and she was so sorry. Regretted it instantly. Blah, blah, blah. Standard script. I let her finish. Didn't interrupt. When she was done, sniffing and looking up at me with those big, hopeful eyes, I just nodded slowly. Then I reached for my briefcase, pulled out a slim, black binder, and placed it on the coffee table between us. "This, Sarah," I said, my voice way calmer than I felt inside, "is a report from a private investigator I hired 3 weeks ago." Her face went from tear-stained hope to chalk white in about 2 seconds. What? A private investigator? "Yep," I said, tapping the binder. "Turns out your one-time kiss has a name. Julian, isn't it? And it wasn't so one time. More like a regular Tuesday and Thursday afternoon gig for the past 2 months. Hotel rooms, dinners, the works. He even stayed over at your friend Chloe's empty apartment with you last weekend while I was visiting my parents. It's all in there. Pictures, dates, even some rather descriptive text message transcripts." She stared at the binder like it was a venomous snake. Then she just crumpled, slid off the sofa onto the floor, full-on sobbing, grabbing at my legs. "Mark, no, please. It's not what it looks like. I love you. Julian he was just an escape. A fantasy. Please don't leave me. We can fix this. I'll do anything." I gently removed her hands. The calm was still there, but it was cold now, like a layer of ice over a very deep, very still lake. "Sarah," I said, "the fixing this part was supposed to happen before you decided to systematically betray our relationship. Your confession tonight? That was just damage control because you probably suspected something was up. You weren't confessing to be honest. You were confessing what you thought you could get away with." I stood up. "The wedding is off, obviously. I'll start making the calls tomorrow. As for us, there is no us. I want you to pack your things and be out of my house by the end of the weekend for the main items. You can arrange a time for any smaller, remaining belongings to be collected under supervision next week. All communication regarding anything else can go through a lawyer if necessary." The begging intensified. It was ugly, but all I saw was the deception, the calculation. She didn't just cheat. She built a whole separate narrative while planning a life with me. The utter disrespect of it all. This isn't a soap opera. This is my life. And she set on fire. I just happened to have an extinguisher ready. Update 1 week later. Well, it's been a week since D-Day, Discovery Day, Demolition Day. Take your pick. Sarah conducted the bulk of her move-out over that first weekend, though not without a final, dramatic performance that could have won her an Oscar. Lots of wailing about how I was destroying her life and throwing away our future over a mistake. We'd agreed, largely through my lawyer communicating with her after her initial hysterics, that she could collect any remaining smaller items later in the week with supervision to avoid further direct confrontation. That's scheduled for a couple of days from now. The calls to vendors have been awkward. Lost deposits are piling up. It stings, not gonna lie. That's money I work hard for, now just gone. But it's a small price to pay for dodging a lifetime of lies. Sarah's main cheerleader, her best friend Chloe, 32F, called me a few days ago. Didn't even say hello, just launched in. "Chloe, Mark, you need to stop this. You're overreacting. Sarah is a wreck." Me. "Chloe, with all due respect, Sarah made her bed. She's lucky I'm not posting the PI report on social media. Chloe, she loves you. People make mistakes. Are you really that perfect? And Julian was just a stupid fling. He meant nothing to her." Me. "Funny, The report suggests Julian was under the impression he was auditioning for the role of new fiancé once she'd secured the lifestyle upgrade through me. He drives a rented sports car and brags about his crypto investments, right? Real solid guy. Chloe, you're being cruel and vindictive. She's already suffering enough. You should be trying to understand why she felt the need to look for attention elsewhere. Me? Understand? Oh, I understand perfectly. She wanted her cake, and to eat it too. She wanted my stability and her bit on the side. The only thing I don't understand is why you're enabling this. This conversation is over. Hung up. Then came Sarah's mother, Eleanor, 60 SF. Tears the whole bit. Mark dear, she's devastated. She knows she messed up. But think of the love you shared. Don't let a moment of weakness destroy everything. What about the embarrassment? Canceling a wedding. Me. Eleanor. The embarrassment is entirely Sarah's. She's the one who was unfaithful for months. My only embarrassment is not seeing it sooner. We are done. Sarah herself has been texting nonstop, alternating between, I miss you so much, I can't eat or sleep, and you owe me for the wedding dress I bought. It was custom, and how could you be so cold after everything we shared? I screenshotted that last one and sent it to my newly hired lawyer, Ms. Evans, with a note that everything we shared apparently included her and Julian. Ms. Evans confirmed my actions were sound, advised me to block Sarah and her flying monkeys and direct all communication through her. Done. The entitlement is just astounding. They genuinely seem to believe that her "I'm sorry for getting caught" should wipe the slate clean and I should just absorb the betrayal and the financial hit. Nope, not happening. This isn't about revenge for me. It's about consequences. She made choices. These are the consequences. Update 2, 3 weeks later. Things have escalated, just as I figured they might. The entitlement hasn't just knocked on the door. It's kicked it in and tried to redecorate. The supervised collection of Sarah's remaining items happened early in the second week. It was as unpleasant as expected. Ms. Evans sent her paralegal. Sarah showed up with Chloe, both looking daggers. There was some muttering and a last-ditch attempt by Sarah to just talk to me for 5 minutes alone, which the paralegal politely, but firmly shut down. The noise complaint I mentioned came after that, when they were leaving and Sarah had a meltdown on the lawn, screaming about how unfair this all was. Thankfully, the paralegal was still there to witness that part. I explained this to my building manager when he called about the anonymous complaint. He noted it, especially the presence of a legal witness, and said unless there were verifiable, ongoing issues, he'd consider the matter closed. Pretty sure that was Sarah or Chloe trying to cause trouble with my lease after the supervised pickup didn't go their way. Pathetic. First, the smear campaign started. Apparently, according to mutual acquaintances who've been getting tearful calls from Sarah and Chloe, I'm a controlling monster who drove Sarah into another man's arms by being emotionally distant and too focused on work. Right? My working to provide the comfortable life she seemed to enjoy so much. Some people are buying it. Others are smart enough to see through the BS. Lost a couple of friends, but if they're that easily swayed by a one-sided sob story, they weren't real friends anyway. Then came Dirty Trick 1, or 2 if you count the noise complaint and email from a generic Hotmail address landed in my work inbox. CC'd NG my boss and HR. Vague accusations about me using company time and resources to stalk and harass my ex-fiancée, and that I was emotionally unstable and a potential workplace risk. My blood ran cold for a second, not gonna lie. This could seriously mess with my career. Thankfully, my boss knows me well. He called me in, showed me the email, and I calmly laid out the heavily summarized truth. Fiancé cheated. Engagement off. She's retaliating. I offered to show him the PI report highlights, non-salacious parts, just proving infidelity and timelines. He declined, said he trusted me, and that HR would do a cursory check of my work computer activity, which is pristine, and then dismiss the anonymous, unsubstantiated claim. It was dismissed the next day. But the audacity to try and ruin my livelihood, that's a new low, even for them. Ms. Evans has logged this as well. She said it paints a clear picture of harassment. Sarah, through Chloe, since Sarah is blocked, also started demanding her share of the non-refundable deposits for the venue and caterer, claiming she invested emotionally in those choices. I had Ms. Evans send a crisp reply, Ms. Sarah's last name. This emotional investment in the wedding appeared to cease approximately 2 months prior to the engagement's termination, coinciding with her extracurricular activities with Mr. Julian's last name. There will be no financial remuneration for emotional investments that were clearly redirected elsewhere. Julian, by the way, seems to have gone completely MIA. His flashy Instagram? Suddenly private. Chloe let slip to a mutual acquaintance that he got spooked by all the drama. Translation. He realized Sarah wasn't going to be stepping into a comfortable, pre-funded lifestyle with him and bailed. Color me shocked. The anger I initially felt has mostly burned away. Now it's just a sort of grim determination to see this through cleanly and legally. She wanted to play games? Fine. But I'm playing by the actual rules, and the rules say actions have consequences. The PI report wasn't an act of aggression. It was a shield. And every dirty trick she pulls just makes my shield stronger. Final update, 6 months later. It's been just over 6 months since my world briefly imploded. The dust has settled, and life has recalibrated. Thought I owed you all a final chapter. The attempts to extort money or sympathy continued for a while after my last update, but with diminishing returns. Sarah, after her anonymous complaint to my work failed spectacularly, apparently tried to get a lawyer to send me a demand letter for emotional distress and her half of shared assets. We had no shared assets of significance. We weren't married, and the house is solely mine. Ms. Evans shut that down so fast, it probably gave their cut-rate lawyer whiplash. She pointed out that any emotional distress Sarah suffered was a direct consequence of her own sustained infidelity and deceit. Crickets after that. The revenge part, if you can call it that, wasn't some grand, theatrical gesture for me. It was simply me refusing to play her games, refusing to absorb her consequences, and meticulously ensuring she couldn't drag me down with her. The PI report wasn't just about catching her. It was about irrefutable proof that cut through any potential lies or manipulations she, or her enablers, could spin. That binder and Ms. Evans' calm, no-nonsense legal letters were my sword and shield. What happened to Sarah? For what I've pieced together through the grapevine, the few mutuals who didn't get sucked into her drama vortex, Julian, the aspiring playboy, vanished like smoke once he realized Sarah wasn't his meal ticket to an easy life. Big surprise. Sarah had to move back in with her parents, Eleanor, and a very disappointed, apparently, her father. Chloe is still her staunch defender, but even that relationship is supposedly strained because Sarah has been a nightmare to live with, expects everyone to cater to her, and takes no responsibility. Sound about right. She's apparently working some temp job, complaining to anyone who'll listen about how I ruined her life and tricked her with the PI. Zero self-awareness. Zero remorse. Just pure, unadulterated entitlement, baffled that her actions had real, lasting, negative consequences for her, and not just for me. The wedding dress she demanded I pay for? Last I heard, she tried to sell it online, listed as brand new, never worn, dream canceled by Psycho X. Classy. As for me, the first few months were rough, not gonna lie. Felt like a fool for not seeing it sooner. But mostly, I felt a profound sense of disappointment. The financial hit from canceled services sucked, around $15,000 in lost deposits, ouch. But my peace of mind? Priceless. I kept my job, my integrity, and my house. My real friends rallied. I took that trip we were supposed to take for our honeymoon, went solo. It was cleansing. The best revenge has been living well, and more importantly, living honestly. I didn't need to shout from the rooftops about what she did. The truth had a way of seeping out. She wanted the drama, the affair, the thrill, without any of the fallout. Instead, she got the cold, hard reality check she earned. She didn't just lose a fiancé. She lost the comfortable, secure future she took for granted. And knowing she's out there, stewing in the consequences of her own choices, unable to manipulate her way out of this one. Yeah, that brings a certain quiet satisfaction. Thanks for letting me vent. It helped more than you know. Time to officially close this chapter and move on.